Hey everyone, welcome to this special edition of Off the Top Rope. We have some breaking news. Not really breaking news per se. We've got an AEW TV deal. Something that we've been waiting for what seems like several months and weeks now. But it is agreed to. It's going to begin in 2025. AEW Dynamite and Collision will also stream and be simulcasted on Max. Also, pay-per-views will be on Max starting next year, but they will be at a discounted rate, which to me was kind of a noteworthy thing. It's not the same thing as what WWE is doing with Peacock, so that's a little bit of a disappointment on that end. But the reports are anywhere from 150 to 170 million dollars in terms of annual, and I think it's a 3-year with an option for a fourth. So really the big takeaway from me, I've been saying this for a couple weeks now, AEW was always going to get this deal. I think there might have been some doubt creeping in our head because of the declining ratings and the declining attendance, but I think Warner Brothers Discovery, obviously losing the NBA, I think was always going to have some desperation to keep AEW. It's an alternative. There's people that still do watch it, and there is an audience for that. My concern long term is with the trends declining over the course of the first 5 years of AEW. What is this going to look like over the next 3, 4, 5 years, however long this goes? Because it's one thing to get money, and this is what I caution the fan base of AEW who wants to, trumpet this as a triumph. The reality is, this is cool. This is very cool. You should celebrate this. But going forward, there's got to be some semblance of growth, and you can't just settle for hey, we got a new TV deal, we've got an extension, let's just mail it in, and let's just not don't be putting Chris Jericho on television moving forward. Don't do that. Build new stars, have better storylines, create compelling week-to-week television. Don't book for the sickos. That's what has kind of sunk this company, and I'm concerned that because Tony Khan got what he wanted, he got what he desired, an extension, and he is now can trumpet that he is he's going to outlive what WCW was. WCW, even in its short period, was much more successful than AEW. Let's just call it what it is. WCW beat WWE. They beat WWE. So, do you want to be that type of competitor to WWE, or do you want to become what TNA has now become? And now they're building themselves back up in popularity because of their association with WWE. So I just hope that AEW has a lot more consistent storytelling and a lot, look, I don't mind the matches, but I want to care. I want to care. And it's a combination of a bunch of things that have left me kind of disinterested or disillusioned with this product. It's, WWE has gotten significantly better. When AEW started, they benefited from WWE probably being at its weakest near the tail end of the Vince McMahon era. And then in 2022, you get Cody Rhodes, you get Cody Rhodes leaving to go to WWE. The CM Punk stuff happens, all the drama behind the scenes. And that kind of just sunk this company down to the point where it is right now, where they're just not caring about long-term storytelling and engaging viewers. And, it's shown in their attendance, it's shown in their ratings. And, a lot of people, mostly trolls, really thought that this was going to ultimately sink this company and they weren't going to get this deal. Maybe it crept into my mind a little bit that this was going to go a different way for AEW, but over time I was yeah, there's just too much going on at Warner Brothers Discovery, and there's just too much, talent on this roster for somebody, particularly Warner Brothers Discovery, to make an investment and try and see if this can work on their television network. The question now is, are you going to be like Vince McMahon when he got the huge money to go to Fox, the Saudi Arabia money, and just put on some of the worst television that you're ever going to put on just because you're getting paid and you're just going to cash checks? Or are you going to turn into what Triple H has become and made WWE as prosperous as it's been? I'm using WWE as a measuring stick because this is clearly what AEW is trying to strive to be an alternative to. Even though they want to say, hey, we're all about the wrestling, let's get real. Like, I saw the segment that they did with the former Maximum Male models in the Acclaim. That was an atrocity. That was an atrocity. That was a Vince level segment. Like, that was so terrible that I can't even recap it, because like I only watched like about 25 seconds of it. I was like, what in the fuck is this? Like, don't do the learning. Do as many of the learning tree segments, and frankly, less Chris Jericho's better. Like, have these like, big time stories, like investing characters and storylines like a Hangman Page and Swerve Strickland. Do that type of stuff. And then the other thing, stop chirping. Worry about yourselves. Stop chirping to the media. Stop having all of your talent go out and talk about WWE and how they meddled and like how they contract tampered, or having Mercedes Moné talk about how she's going to go back, if she's going to go back to WWE or not. Like, just focus on yourself, because until AEW admits that they have issues, nothing is going to change with this company. And when you've got fans in this fan base, it's fine that you like it, but it's also fair to, like, be critical of this product. And I understand that a lot of people migrated to this product because they were so disillusioned with WWE. But it's completely fair to have criticism and say that AEW is not in the same space that it was 5 years ago. They're not. They're just not. Like, it's a different company. You're investing a bunch of money in some people who are has-beens, some people who are, they haven't really capitalized on their momentum. And a lot of people are leaving. So I kind of look at it as like, AEW is kind of like, that middling franchise in like a sports league where the fan base is okay with like, finishing 7th or 8th in the standings, like in the NBA. And you're like a middle of the road team, and you're a borderline playoff team, but you're never going to win a championship. And that's just kind of who you are. And then there's other teams like, let's keep this NBA thing. Ironically, we're talking about Warner Brothers Discovery, and they're about to lose the NBA. When you're like the Boston Celtics, or a team like, the Lakers organization, where it's championship or bust, they're striving always to get better, or they're wanting to try and get better. The Lakers have kind of like, are dressing it up like that, but they've got LeBron James. But at the same time, it's like, if you're really striving to be great, you would do better things with the investments that you have made. So if there's one thing that I can offer to the fan base of AEW and Tony Khan, is that in the next 3, 4, 5 years, however long this partnership lasts with Warner Brothers Discovery, don't strive to be what you are. Don't stay the same. Change, adapt, do different things, push different people, create compelling angles and storyline that get people to come back and watch your product. It's just, it can't be the same way it's been the last couple of years, because it's the numbers have dictated in attendance and viewership that this product is not registering with the audience. It's just registering with like the not the casuals, but like the diehards and the sickos that Tony Khan wants to book for. And you know what? If you want to admit that you're that, then that's fine. But they'll never admit that publicly. They won't. They have always, like, and when you put out segments like they've been putting out, whether it be Chris Jericho or that Maximum Male Model segment, they're trying to be a knockoff WWE. And if you want to compete with WWE and you want to be that way, then you've got to change. You've got to stop just like, having random matches like, Kazuchika Okada and Bryan Danielson are going to face each other tonight on Dynamite on the 5-year anniversary, with the weird caveat that Kazuchika Okada's Continental Championship is on the line only for the first 20 minutes of this match. Like, that match should be on pay-per-view. You're trying to make money and just trying to hotshot your way to a better rating. That's not how this should go. You should be building storylines and bringing people back, like a Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley storyline, or, like a Bloodline storyline that has been hooking WWE fans in for the last 4 years. People still watch. They watch SmackDown at a higher rate than it had ever been in the history of that show. Raw is at a high rate too. CM Punk and Drew McIntyre, easily the highest rated quarter of Raw this week, in the midst of facing 2 Monday Night Football games. That's how you know that your product is going to be good. So it's great that AEW was able to get all this money, to get this extension. It's great for the wrestling business. It's great for people like me to come on and talk about it. But at the same time, I want to see a lot of places prosper and do well. And I've said it here on the channel. I think TNA, even on a lesser network and with less money and less resources, is doing a much better job of creating compelling wrestling content than AEW has in the last couple of years. It's just, you've got to invest in bigger characters, and you can't just say, hey, I have the highest wrestling payroll and not use it. So, congratulations to AEW and their fan base. This is very cool. I'm very excited to see where this goes. Am I optimistic? A little bit, because, Tony Khan has shown that he wants to, jump out and try and do some crazy shit. It may not necessarily be for me, but they've got to find some ways to not just build it around their matches, and they did a relatively good job going into All In of creating some good television, and then it seems like coming out of some of these big pay-per-views that they're just kind of meandering in the middle. So, all right, so that's my thoughts here on Off the Top Rope. Thanks so much for watching here. We will have a reaction to what seems like a very extended edition of AEW Dynamite, the 5-year anniversary. Kind of hard to believe it's been 5 years. I mean, I was moving back from Washington, D.C. 5 years ago, and they had that first show in Washington, D.C., and Cody Rhodes is on it. And now Cody Rhodes is not on this show. He's the biggest star in WWE. So we'll have a lot more content here, wrestling-wise, also sports-wise, NFL, college football. Perfect blend of sports and sports entertainment here on the Off the Mic Sports Network. Thanks for watching this edition of Off the Top Rope. I'll talk to you guys real soon. Bye-bye.